that was such a great season.
Gotta be a lot better than Season 5. Season 5 sucked.
Hey, Season 5 wasn't bad. It was just disappointing.
If we just start arguing about Season 5, we're not gonna have any time to argue about Season 6.
Okay. So
Season
I'm
5
Mitchell.
sucked, though.
That's Nicholas. That's Brock. All we gotta say is Game of Thrones Season 6 review coming at you. Yeah, all I'm gonna say is,
Coming at you,
if
boy.
you could tell, me, Brock, and Mitchell are big Game of Thrones fans. Me particularly. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So Season 6, a lot happened. We had
Jon
first
Snow's
Jon Snow
resurrection.
came back. Hodor
Hodor
died.
He held the
and
door.
was
Oh,
Hodor. And
That was the
Daenerys
whole-
got
that
a
was
new
whole character,
army
apparently.
and
That was
ships.
And, like, she's alive. It's literally everyone versus the Lannisters
Arya
now.
fought the Terminator.
Yeah, and won. She beat the Terminator, or she is the Terminator. That's a rumor. But
Yeah,
I
she
think,
might
I
be.
think she won. No, I think she won.
A lot of stuff happened. So
She killed Walder Frey.
yeah, that's scumbag. I think
Battle of the
let's go
Bastards.
through
Let's do
every story.
episode
Let's
by
go
episode.
through episode by. What do you think this is? A real show?
Yeah,
We can't take it episode by episode.
Okay,
Yeah,
no,
we
like
got
one
to.
point from. Okay, so
I don't
episode
remember
1
anything
things.
from
Okay,
every
episode
episode.
2 was like.
What happened in episode 3?
It was
don't
like
remember.
one-
Oh, it was when your most hated character got executed.
Yeah, he remembers.
You know, Ollie, the little... Yeah, but what else? Why don't we just look at every, storyline?
Okay, fine.
All right.
We'll do Jon Snow. 'Cause he's
Yeah,
the-
see? So Jon Snow, he did a lot of... He got brought back from death.
Davos
He,
kept him alive. That's a
He
joke.
did all
He's
those...
just like-
all that stuff. The
Davos.
early part of the season of bringing Jon Snow back and kind of taking him out of
Yeah.
the Night's Watch was probably the
He was like,
best
now
part of the
my watch
early
is ended.
episodes.
He was like, I'm out, and he's
Yeah.
like, don't, like, you're in charge, try not to knock it down. He's just like, we're out, like, he's done, and the walls could come down, but we'll talk about it later. So, like, yeah, and he comes back, and he's like, and then he gets with, like, Sansa comes to the, that never, when people say we're going to the wall to be with Jon,
It
they
actually
never
happens.
get there.
Never get there. Yeah,
Like,
it
literally,
actually
I think
happens.
every single
This
member of
season.
the Stark family have said, yeah, I'll go to the wall to be with Jon at some point, and it never happens. And then
So
Sansa was
Sansa
actually
gets
there.
there.
I was so surprised. I was like, what the
She
fuck?
gets there. She has a little moment with Theon, which is cool. Seeing them every day. And then they go off to get people,
Yeah.
which is where we meet the coolest new character of the show since Prince Oberyn, Lady Mormont.
Yeah.
This some 12-year-old girl who just bitches everybody.
Yeah.
She bitches everybody. She made Jon look like a pussy. She made Sansa and Davos. Actually, Davos was the only one who could convince her to bring
Yeah.
our army over. So they all did that. And then we finally got the big fight between
Battle of the Bastards.
Ramsay and Jon.
Ramsay so
And
good.
it was the best fight because it was just such a tight, intimate fight. Like the
one
the
field.
the
Yeah,
great
one
part
field.
where he tries to go in and save Rickon,
Rickon, and Ramsay's just being a
Right,
sadist,
Rickon's
trying
dead.
shooting Rickon down
Yeah.
and kills him.
He kills him. So Jon, angry, just rides in all by himself, and then the entire wildlings and the giants and Tormund all sprinting after him. But they're a bit. It looks like they're going to be too late. So Jon
Yeah, it's just him by
falls off his
himself
sword
with
and
the
he
Stark
just
music.
he's just
Like,
by
getting,
himself.
like, just on his
Probably
own.
the coolest shot in Game of Thrones ever. Yeah, the Stark music with him
Whereas
just,
he
getting
just
ready
stared.
to die.
Yeah, well, the bulletins are charging at him.
Yeah, it was
And then we get to
Tough
probably
shit.
the best action scene of 2016.
It was the long shot in that fight
Oh
scene
my
where it's just
God.
horses,
Yeah.
just people,
Everyone in the
bodies
front died.
filing up the mud everywhere. It was the most realistic, probably medieval fight scene in anything. I can't think. Lord of the Rings it kind of blows Lord of the Rings away.
Yeah, in
for
fact,
how intimate the fight was.
There's
Insane.
Yeah, especially how this is the fight in Game of Thrones that I felt the most was at stake.
Yeah, it was a great
Since-
action. Probably one of the best. The director of that episode in episode 10,
And hard
Miguel
He can make-
Sapochnik. He's
Yeah,
the
that's his
best
name.
director Game of Thrones has. Wait, he should just direct every single. That one, episode 10, we'll get to more when we're talking more about other characters. But for a lot of reasons, episode 10 is probably my favorite episode of the show.
And the
9 and 10 are both
and the culminating
crazy
of
great.
Jon Snow's character arc is he ends up being called the White Wolf, and
Yeah,
they call him the new
King
the
of the
King of the
North.
North. It's like, oh, it's bad.
Which that's cool, but it's almost too similar to what happened with Rob.
that's the point.
That's the
It's supposed
point.
to
It's
say-
supposed to
no,
be.
no,
I
making
know,
up
I
for the
know,
Red
I
Wedding.
know. I just think.
Yeah, he's
What
gonna
if
lose
he-
that.
yeah.
I feel like that's like that. This is as good as it's gonna get for all the Starks, and now Rob's gonna get screwed.
Yes,
It's
and
possible.
last thing we learned about Jon Snow, Targaryen, which
Yep.
we all knew that,
Yeah,
right?
me and Mitchell knew that.
We didn't know that.
We knew that,
We
so-
knew it was possible.
There were conspiracy theories going around about
Thankfully,
this.
they finally confirmed it.
Yeah.
I thought they were
He
going to
might
do it like
not
7
be.
episodes
He might not
earlier.
be Rhaegar Targaryen.
But he is, though. Like,
Probably.
why wouldn't they?
That's true.
Yeah, he's
That's
Rhaegar
true.
Targaryen's son.
Pick up there.
He has to. He actually, no, he is. He's a Targaryen,
Yeah.
which means Daenerys or him. I was thinking about this earlier. One of them is not gonna, because if he's
No, I
if
think that's
Jon
just another
has
reason for them to work
Targaryen
together.
Yeah.
and that blood, and he's supposed to be like Azor Ahai or whatever, like he's supposed to be the big guy of the whole show, and Daenerys wants to be the new queen. I feel like one of them's got to go before the end of the show.
Yeah, but Jon doesn't want to be like king.
Maybe, but
like,
do
at
you
all.
really see at
just
the end of
wants
the
the
show
North to be
both of them
independent.
alive and both of them like winning? I don't.
Yeah,
one of
I don't-
them's gonna go. I hope it's Daenerys. I hope Daenerys loses.
I am on
After-
team. I am on
after
team
6
Jon.
seasons,
Jon.
after 6 seasons of
Yeah.
her like winning, basically, how cool would it be for her to lose? Tyrion goes back to being a drunk. Everything's terrible.
Oh.
Tyrion. That'd be a cool.
And he got appointed to
What if Littlefinger wins the whole thing?
holy shit, he gets to
That'd be
sit on the
So
Iron
Littlefinger,
Throne.
that's how the Battle of the Bastard ends. Littlefinger runs in with
With the
his
veil.
army.
Oh,
And Littlefinger, that's what worries about Jon going into the next season, is he's got Littlefinger going to
got
try and take
Captain
his power
Snake.
from him.
oh,
Because
Oh, and,
he's the only one with the army. Jon has there's like,
No, he got
Shoot
now all the
12
northern
people. Yeah,
houses
that's
are
true.
like, on his side now. But still, like the Knights of the Vale make up
Oh,
a
no.
huge chunk of
what
it.
do you guys think of how Ramsay, the most evil character on the show, got killed?
Got eaten.
that was a pretty badass thing where Sansa,
Smiled while she's
she's gone
by
from
his own
being kind
dogs.
of really quiet and timid and everything. Now she's
To-
one of the more well thought out characters of the
Yeah.
show. Even though she could have saved a lot of people's lives, but that's another thing. So then we'll look at another Stark. We'll go from the best storyline of the season to the worst. We'll talk about Arya.
Arya's got
Okay,
so
Arya's
much better
got
this
a lot
year.
this
This
season.
this season
Yeah,
should have been in
exactly.
season 5. That's what
Yeah,
should have
exactly.
happened.
Okay.
She should have spent
Yeah.
all of this season just going to the
So
Brazen.
Arya starts off in the same place she was like a season ago, but she's blind now.
Yeah.
For no reason. Because
Yeah.
she gets her blindness cured in like an episode, but she gets taught how to train.
It wouldn't have been better if,
which
like,
helps her kill the faceless Terminator eventually, but it doesn't matter. Like, it's
I
not
know.
a big deal. The fact that the lights were off doesn't cover her being blind for like 3 episodes for no good reason.
it
the
wouldn't have
storyline-
been better
it was just
if,
like,
it
yeah,
was a part
Storyline
for
was
training.
a waste of
The
time.
blindness was
It was.
It was,
this
I
year was a
think,
lot
but-
better though, because at least all of
Yeah,
her
at
stuff
least
was
that
interesting.
year was
But-
interesting.
One thing I'll say was good about her storyline was the fact
She
that she
acted
had
like
all
Arya
that
again.
stuff with
Yeah.
Lady Crane and the actors.
Yeah, where we
And
got
we're
to
going
call
back-
back to like seasons 1, 2, 3, and
I think
3
the
and
one
4.
thing that kind of made
a
this
good
season
character.
from being an amazing season because of the last 2 episodes to a really, really good season is the fact that if those are 2 things, amazing to really, really good, he can make a difference
Yeah.
between those.
know.
Is the fact that her final confrontation was bad.
I
Wait,
don't
no,
think
I
so.
disagree.
I don't
It was
think
not
so.
Game of Thrones.
What
The
if it
fact
wasn't
that she-
Game of Thrones? There was a chase scene.
Yeah, there was a
chase
chase
scene in Game of Thrones.
Can you
Yeah, Road the
give
City.
me some silence?
We actually
No,
get...
no,
Give me
no,
some
no.
silence.
Talk.
Okay.
talk.
So let me. You know what? Move over.
Hey,
Move over.
hey, let's
Touch it.
talk.
Move over. I gotta tell the people what's good.
Okay.
I'm gonna explain
So I'm gonna try to go to the show.
why Arya was a bit of a her storyline sucked this season. The episode where she got attacked, which everybody already knows. I'm just beating the dead horse here, but she got stabbed like 4 times, and then she's all of a
Freeze, I
sudden
thought she was
just
gonna
from getting
die.
shut your mouth.
Fuck you.
Yeah, Mitchell. We're trying to defend this, and you say you're being
Yeah, 'cause you're wrong. Okay, she gets
Okay,
stabbed
we'll
like
make up
5
for that.
times, and then she gets healed from getting stitched and having milk of the poppy, whatever morphine, heroin that is. She's better from a show that has huge lasting conflicts from consequences for every single confrontation that happens, and she's better from it in a day. Overnight, she's better. So she goes back, and she's able to run in this really terrible, cheesy-looking parkour chase. A terrible chase scene. It's a bad chase scene. You know it's a bad chase scene.
It's not a bad chase.
It was the worst part of Game of Thrones ever, and then she jumps off this giant, giant parkour thing,
Worse than
and
season
that's when
5.
her thing finally starts to hurt. That's when her cut finally hurts.
It's been stitched up. She's been resting.
Yeah, how are you
It
gonna?
was terrible, and I think the worst image, if the best shot in Game of Thrones is Jon standing there with the sword, the worst is that weirdo Terminator lady. What's her name? The person who's supposed to be
The
no
waif?
one. The waif who's supposed to be no one, but is subsequently clearly like has her own values and everything, running like.
Well, that's because she's a weird person. Like she's
not.
supposed to be like
They didn't
sadistic and gross and
The
scary.
writers did a great job in the last couple episodes and a lot of the early episodes of this season, but they showed that they don't really get this whole concept of no one and the faceless men. Because even though the faceless the man no one person, he had all the qualities that made him no one. The woman person was just, they exploited her to be a villain and got rid of the fact that made her a faceless man. They just made her kind of a tool for Arya to fight and really made her storyline lazy. It was real bad, and you guys all know that. So
Okay, now
that's
me and
what's
Nick are
up.
gonna say
Yeah,
why.
can we defend this?
Okay, you go. I'll
Yeah.
say whatever.
Or you can come in too. Come on.
Yeah, go talk.
All right,
Do your thing.
but the reason why this works is that again, it does kind of fit the theme of Arya deciding that she doesn't want to become no one because she still wants to be with her family, the Starks of what little Starks we have left, and one of the big reasons
does
why
she though? Well, she went back to Westeros, but do you really think she's gonna go back to her family after everything?
Yeah, where else
Yeah,
would she go?
well,
I don't
Maybe
know.
she goes
She
and
said
tries to
she
kill
wanted to go
Cersei. I mean, maybe that's
Yeah.
it. I mean, either way, she's trying to be herself rather than be.
What happened in season 6 should have happened in season 5.
Yeah,
Season 5,
exactly.
What happened with Arya's character other than she got blinded for some reason? She got to kill Inland
Get
Payne,
into a
which is
terrible
cool.
chase scene.
It was
Okay,
better
it
than
wasn't-
that. It wasn't like the
was
parkour stuff. It was
terrible.
the culmination of every shit. Like that's what she
Yeah, at
learned
least
to
we
do to be
actually
able
got
to
the
take stuff like
terrible
that. Like
scene.
that's the whole
Wait, at least-
point.
at
And,
least-
like her weird, like that was the point. They used this.
Okay,
crazy
wait,
no
moving
one-
on.
Okay,
So-
but wait,
Moving
no,
on.
no, no,
Moving
no,
on,
no, no,
come
no, we
on,
gotta
you
talk
really
about
wanna
the
talk about
play.
Arya for
We gotta
like 8
talk
minutes?
about the play.
Okay, I admit the play
The
was
play
a good
stuff was
scene.
Yeah, and
amazing.
actually kind of
That
shows
was really
shows
good.
her as
And
more-
the end of the chase where you can kind of tell, oh, the blood's going this way, the blood's going that way. You know she's getting ready, and then it comes out and the sword's there, and rather than just showing like her stabbing or whatever, it's way better that they do. She just cuts
That
out
they
the light,
don't
and then
show
you can
it.
tell like the stabbing.
It's so cool. A
I
terrible
know.
chase scene that builds up to you not
terrible
seeing it.
chasing. And you thought she died. I bet you
thought-
did. When she
Nope,
got
I'm
stabbed
not
like
an
3
idiot.
times.
I thought she should have been dead. I thought she died because in the show people die from stuff like that.
All right, well let's.
Can we
go
talk
ahead.
about
Now,
Arya Stark?
Yeah, I think
Let's
we're out
talk
of
about
now.
that.
No, we have to talk about a different storyline.
Yeah,
so
we're
I
done
say
with
we
the
take
Starks.
Bran. Let's talk
Bran.
about Bran's storyline. About
the,
how he's
the
hanging out
thing with
the-
John was cool, but the probably one maybe pretty close to one of my favorite episodes of this season
Hold the
was
door.
The door. Hodor.
Taking like his whole
The
life
night
was
I know,
about
just
doing.
kind of ran through.
doing
That was an
that.
awesome. That whole flashback was one of the
Max von
coolest
Sydow.
time travel
Yeah.
things in
recent
TV
memory
ever. It just shows how George R. R. Martin's just made a story that reverberates through from the start to the very finish of it, and now you just have to. Hopefully, they adapt that correctly because I know they are making some changes. So hopefully, stuff like the door and Jon Snow's parentage
And
kind of
yeah, guys, I was
happen
gonna
the way
say
they should.
this is probably
Before George R. R.
Hodor's
Martin
death
dies.
scene where basically he's holding that door. Well, basically,
It's real sad.
it's probably the saddest
Real
death on the
sad.
show since the Red Wedding.
Yeah, that's
And
that's
I
true.
And personally, and it's mostly because, unlike the resurrection of Jon Snow, I didn't see it coming. I didn't know.
Your ass in the shot.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that
Talk to me.
that he would basically that his whole purpose was basically just to hold a door and sacrifice himself. Like that. Yeah, because Hodor, who's like the
that's
most
it.
innocent
It's the
guy.
sad thing is that he's basically been living his own death over and over and over. Every time he talks, he's been saying his own death. That's such
He
a
might be
sad
the
thing.
most depressing character on Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Despite the fact he's probably one of the most innocent characters on Game of Thrones.
Yep, when he was kind of supposed to be the joke character.
Yeah.
Speaking
Funny little
of
guy who carried around Bran.
depressing,
What?
what
Segment.
segments?
Okay,
King's Landing had what kind of went from being one of the weaker storylines to
one
the
of the
best
best.
endings.
Wow.
King's Landing.
It makes all
Seriously.
the crap from like season 5 and the kind of
Cersei
Son of
becomes
the
the
One.
Mad Queen.
Yeah, so basically she
Damn, that
Tommen
episode.
gives
The music.
all power to the High Sparrow because he's an
Yeah,
impressionable
he's
little
useless.
idiot.
He's
So
useless.
Cersei
He's
real-
just a boy.
Cersei
No, he's a
finds
useless
out
boy.
That there's a very useless boy. That there's wild
Joffrey
fire
at least had balls.
underneath the Sept of Baelor. So in the greatest 20 minutes of Game of Thrones,
The
I think
music.
ever possibly.
Piano, the organs, all that.
With the
Pycelle
music, the
gets
pianos, the
stabbed by
great
kids.
visuals, the killing of Pycelle,
And
she blows up the Sept of
Sept
Baelor, and then in maybe another one of the best shots, this director, Miguel Sapochnik,
Yeah,
knows how
after
to
the-
do it. Did a great job in that
Oh.
episode of showing, of just telling his death visually and doing all the storytelling without a lot of dialogue. He just takes off his crown, you just hear it kind of be put down, and then gets up and he flops off and he's dead.
I
When
know,
was
that didn't
watching-
see
hold
that
on.
coming.
When I was watching it,
Tommy's
I literally
murder.
just like remember like watching that scene. I was like, "Huh, how crazy would it be if he just jumped
And
right
he
now?"
did.
When he just jumped. I was like, "Holy shit!"
It just-
and Cersei didn't give a fuck.
Cersei,
know.
she did. She clearly did, but she's gone insane. Like the part,
She's
I think
lost,
even
yeah.
better than that scene was the part where she had
Shame.
sister, what's her name or whatever.
Shame.
Sister,
she
I
just-
hate you.
She
Yeah.
shamed her, and the mountain's gonna be shaming her with his mountain for
Oh
many
man,
days.
that's,
to
come
come.
on, that's low.
Come on, don't. Yeah, he's
come
gonna be-
on.
Okay, look, I know that he's.
Zombie rape.
Well,
Fucked up.
yeah, I know.
But
it-
it clearly was. He was like taking off his belt.
No, he's probably just torturing her.
Yeah, I thought it was just gonna be.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't think so.
So
Yeah, Cersei gets revenge over everybody. Marjorie's dead. The Tyrells.
I was gonna
Everyone
say because
gone
they
except
knew.
for
It was,
Lady
I
Olenna.
thought they had a plan, but apparently it was just like, no, I'll just do stuff with the High Sparrow just to like get him to like to not mutilate her brother. And then they still did that.
Yeah, I also like that Marjorie was the only one who knew that something was up because Cersei wasn't there. Yeah, it's kind of like
Marjorie basically she gave up on her plan to be to pretend to be with the High Sparrows and be like, forget about all that religion. Basically, like, forget it. There's something happening right now that's
Yeah.
really happening. I think this season really a lot of it went against this kind of religious fanatic belief that the High Sparrow had, and it just sort of ended with being like, forget what's happening, you know, the gods or whatever, forget interpreting stuff right now. Something bad's happening, and then when no one would listen to her, they're all dead, and now Cersei as King's Landing, that great shot of just the Iron Throne,
where she's
room or
sitting on the
whatever.
Iron
It's like a
Throne
long
as
wall,
like a
right?
dark color.
Colors, and she just
It-
looks.
it
She's
looks
the
very-
Mad Queen now.
Can I say that the Iron Throne is probably looks that it's most threatening in that scene?
It does. It looks really threatening. That's
And I love Jaime's
I think the
reaction to
best
his own
part-
sister
the
becoming
best-
a monster.
Yeah, the
was
best
like,
part of the culmination of this whole storyline is that it made King's Landing seem like something important again. Now that
Seems like the
Daenerys
main
is coming
because
over
King's
with the
Landing-
Tyrells who are pissed off
And
because
the
their people are
Martells
dead, the
slash
Martells who are
Sansates.
pissed off because their people are dead.
Mhm.
They're all coming over to actually fight a legitimate force in Cersei, like a crazy Mad Queen with their
know.
crazy dead mountain person,
Yeah,
and
because-
Qyburn. And now we actually have a fight for next. It more than just making a great episode on its own. The last episode of the season just kind of set up so many different things.
Seasons. And Jamie, how about all that stuff? You know,
Jamie-
with like
Jamie
with
went
the
through a couple of great
blackfish,
stuff.
and there was like it was just awesome that he
And
got
with
to
the-
leave King's Landing, and then he came back at the perfect time, and it was just like
Oh, and-
shit. Because now him and Braun, it's like, well, because you gotta think like Cersei's gonna lose, right?
Yeah, Cersei's
So,
definitely
yeah,
going to lose.
I know,
We
I
need
did that
it.
a lot, but you know, like those two are gonna be the guys where it's like, oh, I don't want them to lose, but you know, they're going to probably.
Yeah, and not to mention that from Jamie's reaction is basically realizes that my sister's beyond saving. I need to stop her.
He's
before-
gonna stab her in the back.
Yeah, just like what he did to Aerys Targaryen.
He's gonna kill her.
Is he though? 'Cause, like taking like everything he's done at this point is pretty
He's
much
always
just to
been
get
saying,
back
yeah,
to
but that
Cersei.
look, he gave her that look, that like,
Yeah.
he was like,
We're screwed.
because Jamie he basically made himself the Kingslayer that everyone hated and dishonored, and everyone had problems with him, and yet he did it to save all those people in King's Landing from getting burnt, and he comes back to King's Landing, and the person he says that matters more than anything, that he just wants to get back to Cersei. She kills all those people. She burns down the steps, so he's looking at her like that's the one thing I think that she could have done anything else, but using that wildfire and killing everybody like Jamie already tried to stop. That's what he's not going to stand.
Yeah, and I want
Jamie's
do you want to know who I want to see in that final confrontation that we're imagining?
He's going to murk her.
Tyrion confronting Cersei one last time.
There's going to be one Uber meeting between the two queens. Like Cersei and everyone else, and Tyrion's going to be in that meeting.
Yeah, and I want to see Tyrion basically come back to King's Landing and basically shit talk Cersei, basically about
Speaking of queens, we got Daenerys too.
Yeah,
Tyrion was pretty cool in Marine. I liked how he developed relationships with
the
joking scenes. They start actually coming up with
pretty good.
I love the scene where Tyrion's acting as like a mentor to Daenerys because
especially that last scene again in that last episode where she's just where she gives him the pin to be the new hand of the king, hand of the queen.
Like,
and Tyrion actually like believes in someone for once, instead of just hating everything.
And not to mention that, as we all know, Tyrion is one of my favorite characters in the series, and to see him teaming up with Daenerys, one of my other favorite characters in the series, to take down the Mad Queen for season 6 is going to be something to see, and not to mention the dragons were set loose.
The dragons, they went off this season.
Beat
finally,
the crap out of the map. Yeah, because it's not Slaver's Day; it's Day of Dragons or whatever.
Yeah, and then they burned down all the Slavers' ships. She said Dracarys. Call back to season 3,
and 1 and every other season.
And her storyline ended with her, flying off into the. Sailing off into the distance with Varys, the Martells.
It's finally happening.
So we finally have a big fight. We have another huge war. It was the War of the Five Kings, and now we have another big one between. It's basically everyone.
War of the Two Queens.
Do you think
the
Jon Snow, the new king leader? Do you think the North are going to get involved in this fight at all?
At first, I just assumed it was going to be because this is going to be kind of like not like in some. It's going to supposedly mirror a lot like the original rebellion against the Mad King. Like the North is going to close in on one side, Daenerys' army is going to close in on the other. But now I'm just thinking that's going to happen. What might happen is, and I kind of want everything to just kind of diverge instead. But it could while that's happening at King's Landing, they're fighting the White Walkers at Winterfell, and those are just going to be the two storylines for the rest of the show. There's only 13 episodes, apparently.
Yeah, because we only got 13 episodes left.
Yeah, and here's why feel season 6 is going to be the battle at King's Landing, where hopefully, the War of the Seven Kingdoms, and then the final season 7 is going to be the battle against the White Walkers.
Yeah.
Because, they built up the White Walkers as the big antagonist of the series.
Yeah. They're the big thing. So
I am happy, and one reason that I love about Game of Thrones is that it does kind of take these tropes of a lot of sci-fi fantasy stories, and then shows a more complex version of how they came to be. Like, for example, Cersei's development from being a protective mother to a ruthless tyrant.
She was already pretty ruthless, but basically, when she got that prophecy, she kind of knew she was told all her kids were going to die. And then from that point on, she's kind of had that feeling in the back of her head, and after once Joffrey dies, that kind of grew a little bit bigger, and then after Marcella died, that kind of expanded more, and by the time that she was getting ready to do that, she sort of, every time she does something, she gets a huge consequence. A lot of the time it being one of her kids, which is one of the few things she cares about. And she kind of knew that when she did this, she obviously didn't know her kid was going to die, but after, she found out Tommen was dead, she's just, let me look at it, because she knew, she just accepted that that's what it is, and she just doesn't care about anyone anymore. She's the Mad Queen now.
Yeah, she's not going to be
and Jon Snow and Daenerys is now the symbol of hope for Westeros to just put an end to this. And I'll say that this is by far the most triumphant season of Game of Thrones.
didn't end triumphantly. Like, people were giving it crap for being too like positive.
Last
and I was
episode
like,
was
no.
pretty dark, I thought.
Yeah,
everyone died.
Yeah,
Except we got Walter Frey got killed.
Yeah, and he got.
You know what should have happened with the Arya thing? All the stuff that happened this season should have like just kind of been crammed into last season. Like all of her stuff should have happened in one season, and then she should have not been in the show for the entire, or maybe had a couple scenes throughout the entire season, just going somewhere, and then out of nowhere she kills Walter Frey.
I know.
Then it would have been so much more out of the blue. Everyone could kind of call before going to this one, like, oh, Arya's gonna kill Walter Frey, and it was great, like with the pies and all. It was like, yes, that
Yeah, and
happened.
she went all Eric Cartman on his
Yeah,
ass.
Scott Tennant.
You like
shit
your
out of that
chilies,
kid. Yeah, I literally thought she was gonna be like,
They're right here. In the chili. In the chili.
Your chili.
In your pie. Do you like your pie,
Good.
Walter Frey?
Yeah, I'm
And I
gonna
thought,
miss Wolf.
respect my
Phil's just
started
got
getting
it. He rips
mad.
off the mask
Yeah.
and
It rips off the mask and it's
and-
just Eric Cartman.
Yeah.
and she kills Walter Frey the same way that her mother was killed at
Yep.
the Red Wedding.
Slit her throat.
And
So-
one thing I'll say is that before we go is that Jon Snow is now a Targaryen, and I'm wondering, when do you think everybody's gonna realize?
Yeah, how
that?
are they gonna find that out? One, does
Bran's
Bran
gonna-
even know it? And two, was he gonna just crawl around Westeros screaming it at people?
Yeah, he's a
Because Benjen can't. So that means like
Benjen doesn't know.
Benjen's
He's
his
the one who
entire.
knows.
Yeah, and
How's
he
he
can't
gonna-
cross the wall, right?
Obviously, people are gonna
Yeah.
find out eventually.
So wait,
by
so
some
is
way.
Benjen never gonna be like reunited with like?
Do you
Jon
think he's
and
gonna
all
be a
that? Like,
White
what's the,
Walker? And they're gonna be forced to kill him.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
because, you know, there's white on
possibly.
it. And not to mention that Jon Snow is now the King of the North, and now all I'll say is that this season was that, to me, you know how our big complaint with season 5 was that it was a little too dark and unpleasant, whereas this season was a great balance between triumphant and dark.
Yeah, it had stuff in it that was really good into it. So let's finish off here. Let's get a quick final thought on the season.
with the? Is it one of the 10 or are we doing letter grades?
Let's go letter grades.
All right, so Brock.
Shit. Okay, so
What
yeah,
does
all
it
the
say?
stuff with Jon Snow.
You could go dick.
Okay, all the stuff with Jon Snow was great. You know, I loved like all the the new ways they took the season. Dothraki come like next season's gonna be amazing. The way King's Landing ended, the Battle of the Bastards, like the last 2 episodes, maybe the 2 best episodes of the entire show.
I know.
And I loved pretty much every episode. 6 and 7 were a little stagnant, but other than that, you're wrong.
Hey.
But anyway, so
Dude.
8 was great too, and like it looks like we're gonna have an amazing end of the show. And I'd say, I think this season is overall, for Game of Thrones standards, it's an A. For everything else, it's an A+. But I'll give it an A, just because it wasn't
Yeah,
quite
I'm
as,
gonna have
as
to-
good as season 4.
I'm gonna
But
give
I
it
enjoyed
to.
season
I'm gonna
as
give it an
others.
A too because I thought the early episode 1 was pretty good, but then basically the middle chunk episodes were great, with 6, 7, and 8 kind of being weaker plot wise. But 9 and 10 were 2 of the best episodes of TV ever, maybe one of the best back to backs of anything. Director of those 2 episodes is one of the best working in TV. So we should be looking for him in movies. I'm going to say I'll give it the season an A because I liked how they changed things up and they gave it a more cinematic feel.
Ugh.
But there are certain plot elements that they did kind of dumb down recently and are kind of making a little bit worse that I think lowered it a bit, but still better than the previous season. So Nick, what would you have to finish off with? Final grade?
I think I'll give him, maybe, to me it's kind of a hard grade because there's just so much to like about this season, and as a big fan of Game of
Easily
Thrones,
an A+.
as a big fan of Game of Thrones and a lot of the stuff that's been happening, and a lot of the stuff that's going on, when it's basically the Starks finally finding hope again, the despicable villains like Ramsay and Walder Frey finally getting what they deserve, Cersei turning into the Mad Queen. Yeah, to me, this season is so far the best season of Game of Thrones we've had since season 4. And I'm kind of contemplating if I like it more than. And I'll say this is probably the most well-made season. In terms of favorite, I still have to bow with 4, most because of 4 was so well told.
Yeah, I think this. I don't know. There were kind of some.
Even like
plot
with my
problems
issue with like
this
6
season.
and 7, like even though they felt like stagnant, like that's kind of like what the show is.
Yeah, but there were some kind of poor parts for those episodes, and 8. Episode
I don't
1 was
think about
alright,
8.
but
8 was good.
Just saying that we're gonna.
Oh, wait,
you gotta give your final
you gotta
rating.
give it
I
your
think
rating.
my final
Lot better than
grade
season 5.
is
Season 5 sucked.
What was it?
an A plus.
Nice. So A, and A plus from Nick.
Yep.
Okay, so
Yeah.
really good season, and now we're gonna be like losing
We're
our
hyped
shit
up for the last
season
Can
7.
I think it could
Yeah.
pull a Breaking Bad where its whole final last Breaking Bad was 16, but this one has 13. It has kind of such a
Yeah, they can't
small
film
but
it like
also
the same.
larger amount of content
Mhm.
where I think this could be a great chunk of episodes. Just finish it where everything
Yeah,
feels like it
season
matters.
5.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
A
we're excited.
plus.
We'll see you in a year.
We'll see you in a year, Game of Thrones,
Season
and all I'm
7.
gonna say is fire and blood.